Welcome back, everybody, to another mock draft. And happy Draft Day Eve to all of you. We are just one more day until the 2020 NFL Draft. This is my absolute favorite time of the year. Springtime just brings out things to life, and then you tack on the NFL Draft in late April. Just a lot of excitement. A lot of things just come into life. I would like to thank everybody that contributed to reaching the goal of over 200 likes. You guys are awesome. For my final mock, let's shoot for 300 and make it count. So here we go for one more 2020 NFL mock draft. Kicking things off with the Cincinnati Bengals. This pick is obviously a no-brainer. We already know who this is. This is LSU's quarterback Joe Burrow. Now we can move on to the second pick, which belongs to the Washington Redskins. This pick is also a no-brainer. We know who this is. This is the defensive end from Ohio State, Chase Young. At number 3, the real intrigue really starts here. Is Detroit going to move down, and is a team going to move up for a quarterback? I certainly think so. I'm going to stick with the Miami Dolphins trading up here. This trade will be similar to the last trade. It will be an offer that the Lions can't refuse. So the Miami Dolphins are going to trade their first round pick this year, a second round pick next year, and they're going to swap picks with the Lions and in the 5th round. With Miami now on the clock at 3, in spite of all the injury talk, in spite of all the Justin Herbert talk, I still believe that this pick is Tua Tagovailoa. He won't have to start right away. Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the starter, while Tua can sit on the bench. He can develop and then take over in 2021. At number 4, there has been a lot of trade talks here, but I'm fairly certain that the Giants know that they can pick whichever offensive tackle they want. So they'll stay put and pick Tristan Wirfs, the best right tackle, opposite Nate Solder, the left tackle, to help protect Daniel Jones. With the Lions back on the clock after trading down to Miami's old spot, this pick will either be Jeff Okudah, the corner, or Derek Brown, the Auburn defensive tackle. I've been going with Okudah for over a week, but the Lions are reported to really like Brown, so I see them passing on the corner for now and taking Auburn's Derek Brown to help a rather poor Lions defensive front. He will be an immediate starter right away and contribute and wreak havoc in the trenches for the Detroit Lions, coached by Matt Patricia. I am fairly certain the Los Angeles Chargers will try to put in their bids to move up to the number 3 pick, dealt by the Detroit Lions, but that's okay. At number 6, they're going to be able to take their franchise quarterback, and that is Oregon's Justin Herbert. At number 7, Carolina has a few good options. They could go with Javon Kinlaw to fill a need at defensive tackle. Isaiah Simmons can help make a great linebacking core, or take Jeff Okudah to fill a big need at corner. This one is very difficult. If I was Carolina, I would go with Okudah, but the Panthers are rumored to love Simmons, so I think they will go with the freaky athletic Clemson linebacker Isaiah Simmons to help mitigate the loss of their heart and soul of their defense from last year. Their great future Hall of Famer Luke Kuechly. You can play him outside, you can play him at middle linebacker. This guy will be a very good player. At pick number 8, the Arizona Cardinals are a little bit of an enigma to me. I can't really quite figure out where they're going to go. I know that they need help at offensive tackle, but do they know that they need it? I know that they love their left tackle DJ Humphries. They signed him to a pretty big deal, and they also brought back their right tackle Marcus Gilbert, but he's dealt with the injury bug. So I'm not entirely sold that they go for an offensive tackle here. So I am just going to go with an instinct that they're going to trade down here. And the team moving up is the Atlanta Falcons. With the Falcons moving up from 16 to 8, they're going to give up their 2nd round pick while swapping 3s with Arizona. Atlanta is moving up here from 16 to 8 to fill a big need. And the biggest need right now that I could say is cornerback. And the best corner available is Ohio State's Jeff Okudah, and they are going to go with Okudah. To replace the departed Desmond Trufant, you pair him together and start him together with Isaiah Oliver, and you have a pretty decent secondary now in the ATL. Even after missing out on Okudah, the Jaguars are still in a good spot at 9. They could trade down, but I don't see that because they have a ton of picks. I tend to think that they would try to trade up. but they will stay put here at 9 and go for the next best corner, and that's Florida's CJ Henderson. Some people are probably going to hate this pick, but I think Henderson has a really good chance to be a top 10 pick. Scouts have raved about him, and he is the long, tall corner that Jacksonville looks for. And at number 10, for Cleveland, I'm going to go again with the big, massive, but raw left tackle Mekhi Becton out of Louisville to man the left side of their offensive line and give Baker Mayfield the pass protection he needs. As for the New York Jets, there's certainly a lot of talk about wide receiver, and the Jets certainly could go that direction, but I feel like with some good offensive tackles still on the board, they have to go for one of them. And the best one available, in my opinion, is Georgia's Andrew Thomas. He will be able to you can plug and play him right away, and is the better fit for the New York Jets between him and Wills, because Wills is more of a right tackle. Andrew Thomas makes a little bit more sense. At number 12, I've gotten a lot of flack for having the Las Vegas Raiders take Javon Kinlaw. Well, that, my friends, is about to end, as they are going to take their number one wide receiver, and that will be Oklahoma's CeeDee Lamb. The Raiders are rumored to love CeeDee Lamb, so I think that they are going to do it this time. They're going to not pick T. Higgins, and they're going to take the Oklahoma product, and there you go, a number one weapon for Derek Carr. The 49ers are in a prime position to trade down. If they feel like they don't need a receiver, they could definitely field some calls and see if a wide receiver needy team that will come up and maybe take Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs. I think maybe the price tag is a little rich, and some teams don't have extra second round picks, so I think they will wind up staying put, and the clock will run out, and they're going to take a wide receiver, and they're going to take the best receiver available. That would be Jerry Jeudy, the Alabama wide receiver. Start him along with Deebo Samuel, and you'll give Jimmy Garoppolo a great arsenal of weapons to throw to. This pick will come down to two players here. With Jedrick Wills still on the board, they most certainly could go with Wills to be able to play right tackle. Their last year's starting right tackle, DeMar Dotson, is a free agent, so I definitely can see them go with Jedrick Wills. They also have a really big need at safety, so Xavier McKinney would make sense here at 14. But since Jedrick Wills he's available, I think they have to go with Wills here to be able to give Tom Brady some protection on the right side of the line. You pair him with Donovan Smith, and I think you have a really good offensive line here for Tampa Bay. John Elway could go several different ways here. They could go on offense, go for a number one wide receiver. They could go on defense. I think Kenneth Murray would be a very good selection here. The Broncos do have a need at inside linebacker after losing Danny Trevathan and several others. I know that Vic Fangio, defensive guy, wants to build on his defense, but Denver does need that number one wide receiver, a complementary to Courtland Sutton. So I think they're going to take Henry Ruggs here. The speedy guy is just going to be very tough to cover, and I think he'll be very tough to pass on here for Denver. And give Drew Lock a number one weapon. The Arizona Cardinals moved down here to 16 via a trade from the Atlanta Falcons. They certainly have plenty of options here. They could possibly go for a corner to fill a need, but since they moved down and didn't want to go for Jeff Okudah, I don't think that they go corner. They did draft Byron Murphy last year, but Patrick Peterson is getting up there in age. But I think it's possible the Cardinals will address the need elsewhere, maybe in the second round. I think that this pick would make a whole ton of sense, and this is Kayvon Chaisson, the outside linebacker out of LSU. You can give your defense another pass rushing threat opposite Chandler Jones. Right here at 17, the Dallas Cowboys certainly would have loved to have been able to get Kayvon Chaisson at 17 to get a pass rushing threat opposite DeMarcus Lawrence in their new 3-4 scheme. But they do have a pretty big need at corner after losing Byron Jones, so they take Christian Fulton here to pair alongside Chidobe Awuzie at starting corner, and then you also have the nickel cornerback Jordan Lewis, who is more ideally set for the slot corner position, and right now you have a pretty good secondary intact for Dallas. The top offensive tackles are gone for Miami. and they sure need one to protect Tua. At 18, it's possible they'll have to move up again to get one. If they pick one here, they may have to reach a little for Austin Jackson, the next best offensive tackle in my opinion. Right here at 19, I've had the Raiders trade down from the 19th spot all this time, and I would certainly like to do that this time, but a certain cornerback from Clemson, which is where the Las Vegas Raiders love to shop at, is sitting right there. It might be a little high to take him, but heck, he's getting some buzz to go up in this area, so they're going to do it. Mike Mayock and John Gruden are going to take AJ Terrell, the Clemson cornerback, help boost their secondary and clamp down on that pass game. With Jacksonville back on the clock for their second first-round pick, they could go two different ways here. They definitely need to work on rebuilding their secondary after completely tearing it down. Heck, they need a complete rebuilding project altogether. So this is going to be a lengthy rebuild for Jacksonville. And I think they probably could either keep addressing their secondary. They have a need at safety, so Xavier McKinney would make some sense. He fits the mold of the big defensive backs that they look for. They could go for the free-falling Javon Kinlaw, the defensive tackle. They have a need there because there's some uncertainty at that position. But Kinlaw is a pretty raw prospect, so I think they're going to go with the bigger, longer defensive back, and they're going to go here with the strong safety from Alabama, Xavier McKinney. The consensus pick here for the Philadelphia Eagles has been wide receiver, but there has been some talk about the Eagles liking Oklahoma's linebacker Kenneth Murray, and they certainly have a need for a linebacker. They have had a need for a linebacker ever since releasing Nigel Bradham, and even before that. They also let some other linebackers go. They let go of Camus Grugier-Hill, so there's definitely a big need there. They could fill that with Murray. But with Justin Jefferson available on the board, I can't see the Eagles pass up on the opportunity to give Carson Wentz a number one weapon. Minnesota got this pick number 22 overall from the Buffalo Bills, who sent Stephon Diggs in a trade. They need some help along the offensive line, particularly on the interior. Cesar Ruiz might make some sense. Lloyd Cushenberry may make some sense here. Corner makes some sense. I could definitely see maybe a Jalen Johnson, Jeff Gladney, Trevon Diggs. But look who's available on the board still. And I really honestly can't believe it. Minnesota, you're going to take the best player available, and the best player available is South Carolina's defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw. It also wouldn't be a bad idea to shore up your defensive front with Kinlaw. You pair him alongside Michael Pierce, your newly acquired defensive tackle from Baltimore, and you got a stout defensive front. In my last mock draft, I had the New England Patriots trade down because I don't think Bill Belichick would really see the player that he wanted. It's really kind of hard to tell what he has his eye on. He'll go with an outside-the-box type of prospect. But the way I see it, we have some pretty good players dropping here all the way down into the late first round. And we do know that linebacker is a pretty big need for the Patriots, given that they lost a couple of guys. They lost Kyle Van Noy and Elandon Roberts to free agency. And with Kenneth Murray, the Oklahoma linebacker, available, I think that this is going to be the pick here. Bill Belichick likes the bigger bodied linebackers, and Kenneth Murray fits the bill. He is at the 245 weight range. So here off comes Kenneth Murray to Foxborough to go play for Darth Hoodie. The New Orleans Saints are a team that don't have a whole ton of glaring needs, so this could always be a best player available situation for them, but they could always use an upgrade at linebacker. So this pick again will be Patrick Queen, the LSU linebacker. And here we go again with Minnesota back on the clock with their second first-round pick. This time I think that they go corner, and I really think that they're going to go for a long, tall corner, something in the mold of Xavier Rhodes. The guys that fit the mold are here. There's Alabama's Trevon Diggs, who Minnesota Viking fans seem to hate for some reason. And then there's fast riser Utah's Jalen Johnson. I'm going to give you guys Jalen Johnson here. He's a pretty good solid corner. The only reason why we have seen him drop into the second round was because of medical, but I think if he checks out medically, he'll be a very good fit for Minnesota. Back on the clock again is another division rival with a second first-round pick, the Detroit Lions. They can have a few options. They have a few options here. After getting their shutdown corner in Jeff Okudah, they could possibly go to the offense and address maybe the running back situation with Kerryon Johnson dealing with injuries from time to time. DeAndre Swift here could make some sense here at 26 since he is available on the board. But they also do have a little bit of a hole at edge rush, so I say they go for Iowa's AJ Epinesa, who fits the profile of a Detroit Lions Matt Patricia outside pass rusher. Seattle, what can I say? They are a team that we all know just likes to trade down in the first round. And the team that always seems to come up whenever Seattle makes a trade is the Green Bay Packers. And that's exactly what is going to happen. Green Bay is going to move up from 30 to 27. For this deal, Seattle is going to get a 4th, a 6th, and a 7th from Green Bay to move down from 27 to 30, and Green Bay will go up to the 27th overall pick. Now with Green Bay on the clock, you might be thinking, the inside linebackers are gone, Murray and Queen. What would else be there? Do the Packers have an eye on a wide receiver? Do they maybe move up for a T. Higgins? Some people think of Denzel Mims as a first-round grade, but something tells me that their policy of no first-round receivers, I say that they do that, so in this deal, they're going to move up for an underrated need, and that is an offensive tackle. The Packers did lose Brian Bulaga in free agency and signed Rick Wagner to fill in that spot, but the left tackle David Bakhtiari's contract is coming up, so there's no telling for sure if Bakhtiari will be in Green Bay next year. So this trade is going to be for Houston's offensive tackle Josh Jones, who is a little bit of a raw player and needs a little bit of development before becoming a starter. So sitting 1 year as a backup would be a very good thing for Josh Jones, and then in year 2 he can be ready and available to start. The Baltimore Ravens are in a little bit of trouble here. The inside linebackers are gone. They need an edge rusher. I'm not quite so sure if I see an edge rusher here in the first round. They could possibly go for DeAndre Swift, the running back, and be able to spell Mark Ingram, who is getting a little bit up there in age and has dealt with some injuries. But I'm thinking Marshall Yanda, their Pro Bowl right guard, has just retired. So I'm getting the sense that the Baltimore Ravens could go for this guy. And this is Cesar Ruiz, the versatile offensive lineman center guard from the Michigan Wolverines. And they can find a good starting replacement for the perennial Pro Bowler, Marshall Yanda. Right here at 29, Tennessee got leaped by Green Bay to take their right tackle for the replacement to Jack Conklin, Josh Jones. So I contemplated a trade down here, but I don't see a partner here at this point. And I think Tennessee can still find some decent value at offensive tackle here at the bottom of the first round. You have Auburn's Prince Tagovailoa. He's a little bit raw and needs a little bit of development. As all the other first-round offensive tackles, they need a little bit more time, but with some good coaching, could be ready. And then you have Isaiah Wilson, the the Georgia right tackle who played opposite Andrew Thomas. I think that the Tennessee Titans here, they could take Isaiah Wilson here in the bottom of the first. It would be ideal if they could move out of the round to take Wilson at the top of the second round, but it's not too big of a reach for the Titans here to take Wilson. So they take Isaiah Wilson here to replace the departed Jack Conklin. Now we have the Seattle Seahawks back on the board again, on the clock, at 30 this time. This time they stay here, they stay put, and they're going to take the player that I gave them last time, which was Yetur Gross-Matos, the defensive end out of Penn State. Plug him in on the defensive line, help that pass rush with the absence of Jadeveon Clowney, who is a free agent and will likely see some time away from the game as he is demanding a whole ton of money, and not a lot of teams are biting. A good replacement for him could be taken here with the 30th overall pick. The 49ers at 31 here are primed to move out, and I'm going to go with my initial instinct that they are going to move out of the round and they are going to trade out again. They want to be able to collect some draft capital after they lost it via trades. They want to be able to get a second and maybe a third round pick out of it. And they're going to need to move down a little bit into the second frame of the second round. And a team that makes a lot of sense to go maybe move up into that would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 45, who need a running back, and DeAndre Swift is still available. Another team that I had moving up last time was the Denver Broncos. They moved up for Grant Delpit, a safety. But I think Grant Delpit's tackling ability will probably pull him into the second round, and Denver will just most likely see that they need to pass on him. But they do need a corner, and I'm going to have them move up for a corner here. This trade is the exact same trade I had in my last mock draft, with the Denver Broncos giving a second round pick, number 46 overall, to the 49ers, in getting the 31st pick in the first round and number 83 in the third round. So with Denver back on the clock, he addressed offense with his first pick, taking a wide receiver. This time he goes defense, and he's going to go for a corner, and he's going to take Damon Arnett, the underrated Ohio State corner that is very similar to Chris Harris, the guy that he dealt. Damon is built and ideal for the slot. Unfortunately, they have a slot corner, Bryce Callahan, but he could play outside as well, just like Chris Harris was able to do so. I know that they traded for AJ Bouye, but you could have a really, really good, solid defensive backfield with Arnett, Bouye, and Bryce Callahan. And with the last pick in the first round, 32 overall, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs go on the defensive side of the ball. They bolster the defensive line and go with a running mate with the franchise tag Chris Jones. They take the TCU defensive tackle Ross Blacklock. And now we head off to round 2, where the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be back on the clock again. They're going to field some calls, but nobody's going to bite, so the Cincinnati Bengals will be making a pick to start out the second round, day 2, at picking at 33rd overall. The Bengals kick us off with taking some pass protection for Joe Burrow. They take the versatile lineman center/guard Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU, Joe's teammate. The Indianapolis Colts don't have to trade up into the first round to take their franchise quarterback. They get him here at the top of round 2, and they take Jordan Love out of Utah State. He can sit back and learn behind Phillip Rivers, and then when he is ready, he will be ready after Phillip Rivers' contract is up. The Detroit Lions are going to get their cornerback here into the second round. They take TCU's corner Jeff Gladney. The New York Giants also go corner, and they go for Trevon Diggs out of Alabama. The Los Angeles Chargers once again go for a left tackle, Prince Tega Wanogho. Then the Carolina Panthers get their interior defensive line help by going with Justin Matabuke out of Texas A&M. The Miami Dolphins again go with some defensive help, and they take the free safety out of Minnesota, Antoine Winfield Jr. The Houston Texans here get a little bit of a mini steal, and they take Grant Delpit, the safety out of LSU. The Tampa Bay Bucs move up with the Cleveland Browns at 41, and they take a huge value pick in running back DeAndre Swift out of Georgia, who should probably go in the first round, but due to teams not needing running backs, that's how it could fall. The Jacksonville Jaguars get a Marquise Lee replacement in Brandon Ayuk, the Arizona State wide receiver. The Chicago Bears get an Adrian Amos, HaHa Clinton Dix replacement at strong safety in Kyle Duggar. And to end the first frame of the second round, the Indianapolis Colts get a wide receiver for Phillip Rivers. They go with the polarizing Big Baylor receiver Denzel Mims. To start off the second frame, it's the Cleveland Browns moving down from 41 to 45. They get to take Ezra Cleveland, the Boise State offensive tackle, but will play guard in Cleveland as they already took their offense. Mekhi Becton at 46. At 46, the 49ers are going to trade down again, and the Minnesota Vikings, with a lot of picks, are going to move up to get their Stephon Diggs replacement, Jalen Reagor, out of TCU. The Arizona Cardinals got this pick from the Atlanta Falcons in the first round trade. They take a legitimate tight end threat, Colt Kmet, out of Notre Dame. The New York Jets get their number one wide receiver, T. Higgins, out of Clemson. The Pittsburgh Steelers very well could go running back here. J.K. Dobbins is a large possibility, and Jonathan Taylor could be a possibility here. James Conner has had some problems with durability, so Benny Snell has had to come in. He hasn't been that effective, but Zach Bond might be too good to pass up here. Considering the Steelers do have a little bit of a need at outside linebacker, you take Bond and Watt, the two Wisconsin guys. They could be a really good edge rushing duo. And then the Chargers are going to trade up for a running back, J.K. Dobbins. This pick was from Chicago. And then the Dallas Cowboys would probably like a tight end here, but Cole Kmet is gone, so they're going to take the slot receiver, the old Cole Beasley, Randall Cobb role. They take Penn State's KJ Hamler, who is an ideal slot receiver. The LA Rams, with their first pick, for their first pick in the second round, they take some offensive line help, and they go for Matt Hennessy, a versatile center guard out of Temple. The Philadelphia Eagles address a really big need in corner by going with Noah Igbenogany to replace the departed Ronald Darby. The Buffalo Bills are a team that loves running backs, and then they go for a depth running back in Jonathan Taylor to play along with Devin Singletary. The Baltimore Ravens go for an edge rusher here. They take Terrell Lewis out of Alabama, who is very similar to Matt Judon. The Miami Dolphins go back on the offense, and they take Laviska Shenault, the dynamic receiver out of Colorado. The Rams, with their second pick, they go with some edge rusher help, and they take Julian Okwara out of Notre Dame. The 49ers here, they stay put here, and they actually make a pick. They go for the small school Louisiana Lafayette offensive tackle / guard Robert Hunt to be a eventual replacement for Joe Staley. And with the last few picks in the second round, the Seattle Seahawks are going to take some offensive line help. They're going to get themselves a legitimate right tackle, Matt Pert, out of Connecticut. The Ravens follow up with an inside linebacker, Jordan Brooks, out of Texas Tech. And the Tennessee Titans go for an edge rusher, and they get Jonathan Greenard out of Florida. The Carolina Panthers move up from the third round into the second round, trading with the Green Bay Packers, who want to backfill after moving up with Seattle in the first round. The Carolina Panthers take a corner that they need in Cameron Dantzler out of Mississippi State. The Kansas City Chiefs get some linebacker help, and they get Akeem Davis Gaither, who is pretty similar to one of their linebackers, Dorian O'Daniel. And the New England Patriots again trade up with Seattle to go get a Rob Gronkowski replacement, Adam Trotman, out of Dayton. So that will do it for my fourth and final mock draft for the 2020 NFL Draft, and this is kind of bittersweet. The NFL Draft will probably play out differently than most people expect. They always do. And that's what's all part of the fun of it. There are some surprises and some not so surprises. I definitely expect there to be some shocker picks, especially in the first round. There always is. It's always fun to speculate. I have a blast doing all this, gathering information, and then just giving you what I think will happen. I still have plans to go live for the NFL draft starting at 6:30 Central Time. So you guys are free to come into my live stream, maybe let's watch the draft together and have some fun with it. So for all of you viewers who have watched this video all the way through, happy draft day.